What do most Dutch people get wrong about the US? I mean, the list is long. Who are you and what do you do? Like you would explain it to Elon Musk. Very specific, I appreciate that. So my name is Carmen Pop, and I'm a chief of staff to the CFO at Asana. So I've been with Asana for about 2.5 years now. Today is my 6-year anniversary in San Francisco. So I obviously like it here, otherwise I wouldn't still be here. What do most Dutch people get wrong about the US? I mean, the list is long. No, I mean, I think a lot of Dutch people back home would be like, oh, you know, Americans always just say, how are you? And they don't really care. They just, you know, it's very superficial. It's not in depth. Americans are just generally very kind and open when you meet them for the first time. Whereas in the Netherlands, I think we're a little bit more reserved into ourselves. So, you know, if you walk into a store in the Netherlands, there's not a person that comes up to you and is like, hey, welcome to the store. My name is Sarah, and I just, you know, how can I help you, right? I think that maybe can seem a little bit exaggerative or like just a little bit much for Dutch people, but I genuinely think it comes from a place of just kindness and interest from the US, from the American side. And I think it also is maybe aligned with the more opportunistic culture here of, hey, you don't know who you're going to meet here. You could be sitting next to someone that could help you to your next job or introduce you to this person. And I personally think that's beautiful. So I think there's an openness to connect. And I think that is a misconception, I think, from Dutch people, but also just, I think, generally about the US is that they're superficial. I think it's also up to you on how deep you're willing to make that relationship. And I think it also just depends on the person. All right, so business culture in the US. If you start a business in the US, your total addressable market just for the US alone is pretty big. So if you can build a business here, it's probably easier for you to scale that business globally than if you were to start in Amsterdam and do the Benelux or, you know. So I do think it's just a really good testing market from that standpoint. Carmen, how would you describe the company culture at the US headquarters of tech giants like Dropbox and Asana? The US culture here, or the US headquarters culture, is a lot about taking intelligent risks, like thinking about how do we make the business better every day. I think, you know, the sheer energy towards like progress and always moving things forward, I think I feel that really strongly. And that was also, honestly, my motivation to move from Europe to San Francisco, to be in San Francisco where like tech mecca is and be where the heartbeat of Silicon Valley is. And I do really believe that there's an energy around it. And I mean, I thrive on it. It gets me excited to get out of bed every day. So I would say it's just the energy and the vision mission around it. Can you share one important and practical tip on scaling a company in the US? If you want to scale, you do need to build process, and you want to find the right balance of building process without it stunting your growth. Because if you build too much process, it's going to slow you down. And so you want to kind of evaluate as you're scaling, okay, what processes should you implement? And will they scale for a longer period of time? Because I think when you're smaller, you're thinking more short term. And I think scaling is really about how do you scale for numbers of years after. So those would be my two things: is people and finding that right balance with, you know, implementing processes while not hindering growth. Again, to the last question. Carmen, how is working in the Bay Area different than working for a tech giant in Europe? I really just think that the main difference is you're just closer to the main decisions, right? And that's really exciting. I think when you're in Europe, you feel a little bit more removed and you're more of a satellite office. Once you're in the Bay, you're at the home office, you're in the home front, And so that makes it easier when you need to get stuff done or need to, speak to certain people. So, yeah, but I would say both have been great experiences for me. I obviously feel very happy and at home here, but I enjoyed my time in Amsterdam and Dublin as well.